Thank you for staying with News at Prime. The Border Management Authority has confirmed an 8% increase in travellers at the country's 71 ports of entry during the Easter period. It says over 6,000 people were intercepted trying to either exit or enter the country unlawfully. BMA Commissioner Dr. Mike Masiapato joins us for more. Dr. Masiapato, appreciate your time this evening. Now, with over 1 million movements recorded across our ports of entry this Easter period, an 8% increase from 2024. What do these numbers tell us about South Africa's evolving cross-border dynamics, and just how's the BMA adapting to this surge?
Thank you very much, Hugo, and we appreciate this opportunity as the Border Management Authority. Yes, indeed, Hugo, if you look at the figures, indeed, we recorded over 8% increase, just over 1 million compared to just over 900,000 last year Easter. So what does this mean? Firstly, we can indicate that OR Tambo still retained the #1 spot in terms of admitting the majority of the people into the country. So that on its own demonstrates that South Africa still remains one of the key destinations for, I would say, tourists, particularly those coming from the Asian side. The people coming from India as well as the people coming from China. But of course, there is a lot of people also that are coming from Europe into South Africa. And that is basically good news for the Republic. So that is the first part. But the second part in terms of land ports, Hugo, we actually observed in Beitbridge in particular, that with the opening of the ZCC church full-time, this time around, there has been a lot of people that came from the continent, coming from Malawi, Zimbabwe, Zambia, and the rest of the other parts of the continent, coming through into the country for the purposes of attending the church service during Easter, as it were. So that is another indication that we've also seen. But broadly, it is a demonstration that travel is getting towards full recovery in terms of the post-COVID. Now, the question is, BMA, are we ready? So, Hugo, we can indicate that with the capacity that we have, we are able to manage in the current situation. However, we are still operating at 20% in terms of the requirements. You will remember we had already indicated that we are at 2,600 staff complement, whilst the actual structure is supposed to be at 11,000. However, we are able to deal with the current situation, as it were.
Now, you've credited surveillance drones and body-worn cameras as a game changer in border management. Can you elaborate on these and how this technology practically changed the way interceptions and arrests were made, particularly over this Easter period?
You see, Hugo, we can start by indicating that when we deal with the exit phase, remember the exit phase, there is a lot of people that are queuing towards the corridors coming through to the port. What used to be the challenge, and I think the travelers will tell you, there used to be chaos in those corridors, whether you talk about N1 into Beitbridge, N4 into Libombo, and the rest of the other places. There will be a lot of disorder. People will be driving on oncoming traffic. It used to be chaotic. Now, with the deployment of technology, what we then do is we put the drones on air as we deal with the exit phase, and we are able to interact with the provincial and local traffic together with national traffic, which in this case will be the Road Traffic Management Corporation, as well as the Cross-Border Road Transport Agency and also the police. So what we then do is we're able to pick up if anybody is trying to subvert the rules of the road, and we're able to call them to order with the traffic on the ground. That is the exit phase. In terms of the return leg, that is basically where we deal with a lot of illegal migration. We put the drones on the sky, we are able to check around the port, but also in the vulnerable segments. So with the drones, we then have our officials on the ground as the border guards wearing the body cams, but also having push-to-talk devices. We are able to communicate with them from the control room. And once we see people attempting to enter the country or even to exit the country illegally, we are able to activate them and be able to indicate to them through a geolocation where those people are, and they do direct interception. That is why, Hugo, for the first time, we've been able, over and above the 6,200 interceptions that we deported, we're able to arrest 112 individuals who are facilitators. And these are the people who have been bringing people into the country illegally. And we're also able to arrest South Africans that were also driving people into the